Star-Telegram Cowboys reporter Clarence Hill in the open mic, fresh off his 50th birthday celebration last night and looking remarkably clear-eyed. You had a good time and very responsible now as a 50-year-old apparently too, right?
There you go, 50-year-old. I don't look it though. I look 35.
Yeah, take my word for it as somebody who saw 50 a long time ago. They keep those celebrations more tame.
There
now.
you go. There
You'll
you go.
feel much better.
It was tame.
A lot of Cowboys to talk about here tonight with Clarence. Greg Hardy, of course, gets the 10-game suspension from the NFL last week. Were you surprised by the length of that suspension?
I was surprised, and the Cowboys were surprised. I think they were blindsided by the 10 games, the length of the suspension. They expected, everybody expected it to be 4 to 6 games, something along those lines. They understood that when they signed into that contract that took an accountable possible suspension, they did not see 10 games. If the Cowboys thought he was going to be suspended for 10 games, they probably wouldn't have signed him.
But now the word is that there's a good chance it'll be reduced. Where do you put those odds in terms of it eventually only being, maybe 6 games when it's all said and done?
Well, they're good. I reported the other day that the NFLPA they're filing an appeal, and if the appeal doesn't work, they're going to file suit. They're going to file suit against the NFL over the suspension. Certainly, they won a suit recently with Adrian Peterson in this suspension and got him reinstated from District Court Judge David Doty in Minnesota. So they feel that they have a good case to get it reduced, probably 10 to 8, 10 to 6, something in those ranges. Remember, they have the new collective bargaining agreement where domestic violence is automatic 6-game suspension.
And when you get a player with Hardy's reputation, every story becomes a big story.
No
the
doubt.
thing came out Friday that he got into a verbal altercation with a teammate at Valley Ranch. I was out of town, and it was blowing up on the internet.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
What was it?
Guys argue all the time in the locker room. There's nothing wrong with Greg Hardy and a teammate working out. Testosterone-induced arguments happen all the time. It's not a big deal. Certainly, from my understanding, Greg Hardy basically chastised one of his teammates, one of the younger teammates, about his working out, and he kind of bowed up. And maybe they had to be separated, but there was not a fight. It's not a big deal. There's some people that believe that because Greg Hardy in his situation, he just got here, he shouldn't say anything. But he's a veteran, and you can kick his butt for what he does off the field. You can't, criticize him for his work ethic and how he approaches the game as far as working out and on the field. And he certainly can be somebody who can tell a young guy how to work out.
And he's all over the news. His Bentley, got in high water. I know that's a problem with you and your Bentley from time to time.
No Bentley here.
So every move Hardy makes will be greatly scrutinized, and perhaps that's the way it should be. We're going to talk about the draft here in a minute and how Hardy's suspension may or may not affect the Cowboys' strategy. But the other possibility that obviously could affect the draft strategy is if Adrian Peterson becomes a Dallas Cowboy. I think the odds are pretty long on that one, but you think there's still a chance that they get something done to bring Peterson to Dallas?
Are you saying there's a chance? There's a chance. Is Jerry Jones the owner of this team? There's a chance. Does Jerry Jones want Adrian Peterson here? Yes. Okay. Certainly a lot of things have to happen. Minnesota still maintains they want Adrian Peterson to be back, and they're going to ready to pay him $12.75 million next year. Adrian Peterson wants to be in Dallas. He doesn't want to be in Minnesota. We'll see what happens on draft day, but until the draft goes away and he's still on the Vikings, there's always a chance. One thing is for certain, the Cowboys' worst nightmare, okay, one reason why they didn't really go all in on DeMarco Murray, they did not want to spoil the opportunity to get Adrian Peterson.
So it's still out there, although it's obviously far more likely that they address it through a combination of the draft and Darren McFadden, depending on what he can give them.
There's no doubt they're going to get a running back in this draft, whether it's a trade for Adrian Peterson or they're going to draft one of the rookies, one of the young guys coming out of college, Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley. Those are the first-round options. The second round, you look at a guy like Tevin Coleman out of Indiana. He's a very good back. He fits what they want to do. He's somebody they're eyeing in the second round.
More likely, they're going to really go heavy on defense, obviously, in this draft. That's where they need to go. I looked at a collection of mock drafts, and out of a dozen of them, 7 of the drafts had Dallas taking a defensive back. You heard corners like Byron Jones of UConn. I think Shereen Williams from the Star-Telegram may have mentioned him, among others. Marcus Peterson of Washington, Jalen Collins of LSU. Most likely to end up with a corner with that first pick, do you think, all things being equal?
I think so. It just depends on what's there. One of those running backs are there, they're taking it. Certainly,
right, right.
You got a guy like Randy Gregory out of Nebraska, defensive end. They needed a defensive end because, not just because of what's going on with Greg Hardy, they were going to get one anyway, but because of the Greg Hardy situation, certainly that makes it more of a priority. Certainly if a guy like Randy Gregory drops, and he's dropping on draft boards, if he's there, he came in to visit for the Cowboys in the 30 visit. He's a top 10 talent who is dropping off the board. He could be there, but short of anything like that, you look for a cornerback. I like Marcus Peters. He could be the best cornerback in the draft. He has some off-the-field issues, but he has the upside to be the best cornerback in this draft.
What dynamic has changed in that draft room that's allowed the Cowboys to have more success in recent years?
You know, there's Will McClay. Will McClay is certainly done a great job coming in and taking over that draft room, and they've taken Jerry out the mix. Let's also say that. Let's acknowledge that if Jerry Jones was running things in the past, he has been in the past, they would have taken Johnny Football last year. They did not do that.
Why did Jerry admit that? That's what I don't get. Why would he come out after the fact and say, you know, I wanted to take Johnny, but they were like, I guess he was hedging his bets because nobody knew at that time what was going to happen with Johnny.
Jerry keeps us in business. Okay,
Right.
He keeps us in business. Jerry loves to talk. You know, it was tampering. Let's be honest. I talked to Jerry at the owners' meeting, and he was told by the NFL to stop talking about Johnny Football because that's tampering.
Yeah.
You know, all the stuff with the Jets and the Patriots, and they're tampering over their running back, and they're actually accused each other of tampering over their cornerback. Jerry Jones was tampering. All they talk about Johnny Football, a player for another team, throughout training camp, throughout the offseason, that's tampering.
Yeah, keep talking, Jerry. We love it. Finally, Johnny Football, speaking of controversial quarterbacks, is out of rehab. He's been working out with his Cleveland teammates, watching Rangers and Mavericks games.
Right.
What do you think? I know you're a Texas guy, so you're not particularly fond of Johnny Manziel to begin with, but try to be somewhat objective here. Can this kid at some point figure it out and at least be a decent NFL quarterback?
Let me get this disclaimer. Yes, I'm a Texas Longhorn guy, but I'm a Texas football guy. I love Texas schoolboy football players. He's from the state of Texas. He represents the state of Texas. I would love to see him be successful. He just has to show some professionalism. Certainly, again, I talked about zone read type quarterbacks and their struggles with the NFL and the pro game. He's not in Philadelphia running Chip Kelly's offense. He's running a regular pro-style offense, and it's not an easy transition. It's certainly not going to happen overnight. And the stuff he did last year, he did not take the right approach as a rookie coming in. He told us before the draft that he was going to change, he was going to do right, and certainly he did that before the draft so he can get drafted. But he went right back and partying. He went right back and did some of the things that he was criticized for, and certainly was not a mature in that locker room. Can he grow up in that locker room and take the game seriously? I don't want my quarterback being a Hollywood guy. I want my quarterback who is a leader and the first one in the building and the last one out the building.
Think about Manziel. I'm not sure even if he does everything right, that he can be a decent NFL quarterback.
Because of his size and because of some of those limitations, yeah.
But if he doesn't work really hard, he doesn't have a chance.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, Clarence, good having you in here. Happy birthday, Clarence Hill, Star Telegram.
Thank you.